You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident analyst, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_net. Well, today, obviously, I missed a little bit of time, spent some time with family, good old little trip there. And I just want to get caught up. Again, still not a ton going on. I saw some minor speculation. It appears to be nothing more than very, very minor speculation. But the real good news here is that, for me anyways, the franchise tag deadline is today. For you, it was yesterday. But final day of the franchise tag, we have teams showing up to training camp. We've got some of the Bears. Hard Knocks is starting to come out, so we got some content there. Spring League meeting is Saturday the 20th. That's when that starts. That will be the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And Monday, the 22nd, is officially the start of training camp practices for the Green Bay Packers. So we don't have a ton more to do before we actually finally are out of the 2024 dead season. So congratulations. Pat yourself on the back if you've been here the whole time. We're just about through this thing. Hopefully the news has kept you entertained the last couple days. It's been interesting period of time, no doubt about it. But yeah, we're just about done, man. What else is going on? Oh, Kingdom Rush 5, a game that probably one other person listening has played. Was always a fan of that game. They got a new one coming out. Pretty jacked about that. Deadpool and Wolverine, not a big fan of any of that, but it's something. It's coming out the Friday the 5th. So, I mean, stuff is happening, man. So, anyways, a little bit of non-Packers news. As expected, via Ian Rappaport, the Bears and number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams have agreed to terms on a new contract. He gets a slotted 4-year, $39.49 million fully guaranteed deal with a $25.5 million signing bonus. The top pick is now locked in. And I think the signing bonus is like the only thing that there really is to negotiate. Again, these contracts are going to get done. Funny enough, I was just thinking about it today. Obviously, one of the things to talk about, very briefly, but worth talking about, is Jordan Love's contract situation. And I've always said how stupid it is to talk about these draft picks and the massive amount of news that it gets whether or not somebody signed their contract, because they're all going to get signed. It's not a big deal. We know how much they're going to get signed for. Who cares? And yet, that's a similar situation with Jordan Love, where it's this big, like, oh, is it going to happen today? Could it happen tomorrow? Maybe it's a thing. It's like, dude, it's going to get signed. So who gives a crap? It's a little different because obviously it's a huge deal to lock down long-term your franchise quarterback that you hit on. I mean, that's a big thing worth celebrating. Bears fans can't relate. Also, we don't know the details of it, which I'm sure is going to create some drama. I cannot wait. I'm very excited. Very excited to celebrate and then get into arguments about whether or not it was a good or bad deal or the positives or negatives or whatever. It's going to be a grand old time. Hopefully it happens in the next, let's say, 5 minutes. Additionally, Ari Mirov writes, 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk has requested a trade out of San Francisco, per Mike Garafolo. The two sides have failed to get a deal done, and Ayuk is now making a move. This also is kind of nothing news, and I don't want to downplay it because obviously the 49ers are a thorn in our freaking side, and them losing some talent, and Ayuk is talented, is a net positive. Hopefully he doesn't come to the NFC North. I don't know where he'd go other than Detroit, but we don't need to worry about that right now. But the only reason I say that is, number one, nothing is definitive. First of all, I thought he had already requested a trade. So the fact that it's now official that he's requested a trade doesn't mean he's going to get a trade. It's still possible that they could work out a deal. It just seems less likely now. But again, something to keep an eye on. Not only do they end up getting something done, but if he gets traded, where does he end up going? Obviously, fingers crossed for all of us, he goes to some random AFC team, go to the Browns or something nobody cares about, and then the 49ers just get weaker. I think the only interesting thing worth talking about would be the fact that, I've gotten the question many times, something along the lines of what happens when all these Packers wide receivers want contracts. And my common refrain is it's not really worth going through the intellectual exercise as much because there's never really been a situation, in Green Bay anyways, where they just didn't have the money to pay a guy. If they want him, they're going to pay him. Now, you could argue Davante's different, but I don't necessarily think it is. They had the money, they offered the money, and Davante said no. But I mean, this is a situation where you have a team that I think is mostly responsible, and I haven't really dug into it. It might be worthwhile just to kind of expand on the intellectual thought process or whatever to see how you get into a point like this. I know the 49ers have been somewhat reckless at certain times, but the bottom line is it's a team that has a lot of talent and a lot of other options, and so you've got a guy like Aiyuk where his value might just be higher on another team. Whereas the 49ers look at him and he's saying, hey, I want top wide receiver money. And they're going, bro, you're like our third option. Might even be fourth option. I mean, number 2 option at wide receiver behind Debo, maybe, arguably. You've also arguably, but probably not as arguable, got George Kittle. And then Christian McCaffrey at running back. I mean, you could argue that all 3 of those guys are at least equal importance, if not higher importance. And so, again, you're in a situation where that may deflate his value, even though we can clearly see the guy and say, yes, your talent is this value, but your value to my football team is our 4th best option. Legitimately, we have, as far as the quote-unquote weapons go, wide receiver, tight end, running back, we have 4 number 1s, including maybe the number 1 running back and the number 2 tight end in the entire NFL, and 2, number 1 option wide receivers. I mean, it may more closely resemble what happened with Jordy. I mean, that may be the closest example of something like this, except for the fact that Jordy was kind of on the way out, and we saw that. He went elsewhere, and it just didn't go very well. In fact, his last year in Green Bay, when Aaron Rodgers went down, we saw Jordy completely fall off, and you say, well, that's the quarterback's fault. However, Davante didn't really fall off. And, his production may have gone down, but his talent stayed up. And so, again, you got Jordy saying, I want number 1 wide receiver money. And we're saying, look, I mean, we had just paid. Who was it we just paid? It was one of the tight ends when we were going through our tight end phase. We had just paid a big tight end. We got to pay Davante. I may be getting the timeline somewhat wrong, but these contracts are coming up, and you look at Jordy and say, I just can't. Again, it's not exactly the same because he was in his 30s. But that's the closest I can come to compared to Brandon Aiyuk, who is, how old is this guy? Let me see here for 1 second. He was born in 98, which makes him 26 years old. It's not even close. So I guess unless and until we kind of get more, first of all, more details. How much does Aiyuk want? What were the 49ers interested in paying? Because maybe Aiyuk is just being unreasonable, or maybe he's just upset about other stuff. I don't really know all of the details behind this. In fact, give me 2 seconds to look into it, because now it's really, as I talk more, it's really piquing my interest. All right, so given my two-minute dig into this, I now am of the impression that Aiyuk will sign a contract. Now, again, it's still worth the whole thought experiment thing, and if it doesn't happen, how do you get to this point? Because that is sort of the nightmare scenario for the Packers, and it looked like it was going to happen. However, looking a little bit more into it, here's one of the little tidbits here. Number 1, he has a 5th-year option. And I think he's flexing, saying, don't you dare play me on that 5th-year option. And I think the 49ers absolutely are going to. In fact, the 49ers have stated they have no intention of trading Brandon Aiyuk. So, it's kind of similar to Rodgers saying, I want to trade. Like just no, screw you. I'm trying to take control of this. I'm taking control of the everybody's favorite word, the leverage. And really, it's just wild flailing because they have no leverage. Here's some other context. The 49ers have a history of contentious contract negotiations with star players. Who are those star players? George Kittle, who signed. Fred Warner, who signed in 2021, I believe. Deebo Samuel in 2022 and Nick Bosa in 2023. Did Fred Warner sign in 2021? I don't know. But I know, obviously, Bosa, Samuel, and Kittle did because they're on the team. So we've seen this happen before with the 49ers. 49ers probably play some serious hardball, and so you get sort of these kind of reactions, and then eventually something gets done. So I guess what I'll say is, unless and until Deebo actually is off the team, it's not massively worth getting into it. But I guess you could see a scenario where, again, as I said, somebody else sees a guy like Brandon Ayuk. They see him as, let's say, a top 20, top 15 type of wide receiver, which I think he probably is. I don't really know. I haven't seen the list in front of me. I don't know what PFF says. But, if you look over the last 3 years or expectations into this year, certainly a top 32 receiver, you might be willing to throw a pile of money at him that the 49ers are not. But we'll see how she goes. Finally, the hits keep coming for the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, there was the tragedy, and there have been a long history prior to with the Minnesota Vikings just having some terrible luck, whether it's legal challenges or, death. Adam Schefter reports Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison was arrested Friday near Los Angeles International Airport on suspicion of driving under the influence, the California Highway Patrol said Sunday night. He was arrested at 11:36 p.m. local time. We were released from custody at 1:36 a.m. The team put out a statement. We are aware of Jordan Addison's arrest this past Friday and are currently gathering more information regarding the incident. Now, this doesn't take away from the fact that, he looks like a relatively promising wide receiver. He's obviously going to be okay and able to play. I don't think there's any reason to believe he's going to prison or anything. But it's just a shot to a culture that really needs a jump start. They're really trying. They're bringing in new blood. They're bringing in some new coaches, like on the defensive staff, trying to kind of rebuild. But I've said it before. The Packers always used to annoy the crap out of me under Ted Thompson because they were so focused on a player's personality, which wouldn't bother me so much if the personality type that they were going for was nice guy. That just pissed me off. Just go get some bad guys once in a while, But man, you watch and see and you start to understand it. First of all, how volatile a locker room can be. But on top of that, you start seeing guys making decisions that are just not great decisions. Whether that's from drunk driving all the way through to, guys that maybe just don't show up, don't put in the work, or they get their contract and then they just ghost you. I mean, you want to make sure that you have a guy that's going to show up and he's going to be available for you. Availability is the best ability, as some people say. I don't know if that's true. Haven't really thought about it, but it's worth noting. But I mean, we squabble over whether somebody's getting drafted at 25 or whatever because they're older and not going to be able to give you as many years. Well, I mean, if a guy's not going to put in the work, he's not going to give you any years anyways. If he's going to fall off after his first contract, you're not going to get anything anyways. If he's not going to take care of his body, he's going to be out of the NFL early anyways. So, I mean, there just is a lot that goes into it. There's so many variables that just having a bad character and bad personality can hurt, especially when you multiply that across an entire locker room. So, I once hated it. Every once in a while, you miss out on just that really good player that just has a checkered past, and it's like, man, it would have been great to just get that psycho on our team. But I think overall, in the long run, it does make sense. And the Vikings are it's to the point where you feel sorry for them. Not necessarily the individuals that are making the mistakes, but, I mean, for the fan base, for the team, you just look at it and it's like, dude, this is crazy. Guys just cannot catch a break. It's getting ugly. Like, you got to, stop and just pause for a minute and think about what you're doing. I remember there was a short flurry where, Aaron Jones got in trouble briefly, and then, Za'Darius got in trouble. Him and some boys were coming back from Chicago, and they were, the two things that happened, and that was about it. there's just not a lot bad that happens. You say, well, there's nothing bad to do in Green Bay. First of all, that's absolutely not true. Wisconsin's like the DUI capital of the world. Okay, there's a bar every 5 seconds. You want to get schmammered and make bad decisions, Wisconsin is fully capable. And by the way, buying marijuana is a thing that you can do in Wisconsin as well as any other drugs that you can buy anywhere else, just like you can buy guns that some of these guys get in trouble with. You can attack people. Domestic violence is a thing that you're capable of doing in Wisconsin. I mean, there's nothing that you can't do in Wisconsin illegally that you can do somewhere else. And beyond that, the arrest of Addison didn't even happen in Minnesota. It happened in California. These guys have a lot of money. They have homes in other states. They vacation in other states, and they can make bad decisions in other states. So it's not just a matter of, well, you can get these bad boys into Green Bay and then they become good boys. It's like, no, dude, they can make just as many bad decisions in Green Bay, and they can also leave Green Bay and make bad decisions elsewhere. So it's not just, well, the Packers get lucky because of their location. No, it's an active decision that you have to make. And, to some degree, there's bad luck. Some bad things can happen. But at the same time, when you get hit after hit after hit after hit, and yes, some of the instances are not the player's fault. I'm not blaming the person that died. But just as a whole, when you look at all the terrible things that have happened, at some point we got to stop and evaluate and go, you know what? We got to really pay close attention to some of this stuff. I think it was, Malik Neighbors, not a Viking, obviously, but it was I believe it was him. He's out at a gentleman's establishment, throwing money around and whatnot. It's like, man, that is not. And I understand you're an adult and you do what you want to do, but I don't want to see videos of my rookies doing that stuff while I'm seeing other highlight reels of rookies training, and putting in work. I mean, it's just, that would make me nervous. Might end up being a great player. Some guys are not good people and they're great players, and that's just how it goes. But it would just make me nervous that this could be a problem with this guy. And for a fact, some of that stuff was known. I mean, these guys' character before you draft them. And you just got enamored with the ability. And so, man, you better hope they meet those expectations. Anyways, that's enough non-Packers news. We'll take a break, come back, look at a little bit of Packers this, Packers that, and then we'll wrap it up with a few calls, thanks to the callers. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. You ever hear of test driving a phone network? Well, US Cellular is letting you test drive their nationwide 5G for free. Try out US Cellular wherever you have spotty service, your commute to work, that one spot in your house where your service dips. It's as easy as doing a little beep boop pop boop pop with your phone. That's the buttons, that's the noise they make. Anyways, test drive US Cellular's nationwide 5G coverage for free for 30 days. Just download the Try Us app. US Cellular, built for us. Terms apply. Visit uscellular.com/try us.
You're a podcast listener, and this is a podcast ad. Reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a reproduced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com now. That's LIBSYN ads.com.
Also, real quick, I'm just going to read the headline here. Pro Football Talk says league has given teams no guidance on how to prepare for Sunday ticket liability. Yeah, because nothing's going to happen. Speaking of financials, though, also Pro Football Talk, Packers financial report confirms national NFL money is closing in on $13 billion. The reason they talk about Packers financial report is it's where everybody flocks to find out how much money the NFL is making, because the Packers are a publicly traded team, and so their financials have to be public, or not publicly traded, but publicly owned nonprofit team. So people can look at their financial information. You can find out, first of all, the Packers' financials, but then second of all, a pile of money gets sent to the Packers from the NFL. That money, I believe, is all equally distributed. And so you can find out what each of the 32 teams received. And then on top of that, just take it, multiply it by 32, and find out how much the total disbursement to all the teams was. Kind of giving a health check on the NFL financials. So basically, here's some of the information that we learned. National revenue, this is what the Packers received, $402.3 million the NFL sent the Green Bay Packers. League-wide, that means the total disbursement would have been $12.8 billion. That's a 7.5% increase from last year, which is just under $12 billion. Packers' total revenue was $654.1 million when you combine the national and local revenues. Despite a $43.7 million increase in revenue, Packers' profits dropped from $68.6 million to $60.1 million. That's just an increase in spending. Been doing a lot of renovations and whatnot. I don't see that as a massive negative. CEO Mark Murphy stated the profits remain, quote, in a fairly high range historically. Roger Goodell aims to push league revenues to $25 billion by 2027. $25 billion by 2027. So we're talking about doubling the revenue in just 3 years, from $12.8 billion to $25 billion. Now, are they likely to reach that? No. But even if you undershoot that a little, it really goes to show how unbelievably rapidly the NFL is going to increase their revenues, or is it expecting to. The money that we're talking about comes from media rights, league sponsorships, licensing, and other sources. A lot of this is media rights. Gambling is also starting to flood into the NFL's coffers, so there's going to be that as well, which is a big part of this. And if you just do a little bit of math, with a salary cap of $255 million, meaning you brought in $654, $255 is the max you can spend, and of course you're going to try to spend as much of that as you possibly can. The Packers then have $400 million for non-player spending. So $400 million to use for whatever else you may need. And again, after the $654 drops to $400, they ended up with $60.1 million. So that was, after all the expenses and everything else, that was how much money the Green Bay Packers had sitting in the bank, shall we say. I think it's exciting, because first of all, if you look at that massive trajectory of how much money is coming in, meaning in addition, how much money is going to go to NFL teams, obviously the salary cap is going to account for some of that. But there's still going to be continual increases in how much money the Packers are going to be bringing in. That is not going to be proportional to how much the salary cap goes up. At least I don't think so. And so you're going to see this number, this $60 million or whatever, or I should say the $400 million number, which is, total revenues minus salary cap. That number continues to go up. And the $400 million is what obviously you got to pay for your staff, you got to pay for the building, you got to pay for all this stuff. But it's also where renovations come from. It's how you improve the stadium. It's how you improve the surrounding areas. It's how you build up a thing like Titletown, or do whatever it is the Packers are going to do to improve the surrounding area, improve the experiences of Lambeau Field. So it's a good thing. And again, it's why the Sunday ticket thing will be catastrophic if that ever were to get through, because that shuts all this down. We want the Packers to be profitable. We want the Packers to bring in more. We want the Packers to renovate more. We want the Packers to have more. By the way, that $400 million also goes toward paying coaches, right? I mean, you need to have the money to pay good coaches. So, I mean, it's everything. You want to have a good football team. You want to have a good experience. That's how you get it. It's also this very small and minor thing, but I thought it was kind of cool. I found Mike Rowe X on social media posted this, designer and director. Jair Alexander is really good, according to Puka Nacua. Here's that quote.
Asking, who is the hardest person you've played against, like hardest cornerback? Because in my opinion, I think the best quarterback in the league is Jalen Ramsey.
Ooh, I wish. I didn't get to go against Jalen Ramsey. I'd probably say, like, Jair Alexander is really good. He played for the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Asking who is...
All right, so now obviously he didn't play everybody in the NFL, but it is cool to hear that Jair is still seen as one of the top corners. I mean, Puka Nacua is a young and experienced wide receiver, but he's gone up against several cornerbacks. And for him to sit back and go, who's the toughest I've played against? And Jair comes immediately to mind. That's pretty cool. A couple other little statistics I found. Only 16 quarterbacks have ever thrown for 32 touchdowns and 4,100 plus yards and 11 or fewer interceptions in a season. Packers quarterback Jordan Love is the only quarterback ever to do it before his third year as a starter. It was only his first season starting. Now, again, there is an extra game involved, which could possibly play into it, but there's still no doubt. It was an unbelievable year for Jordan. And I've seen the question asked, like, why does Jordan not get more respect? What he was able to do in year one is not disputably incredible, right? I mean, it just is. Here's another little snippet kind of similar to that.
Here is Jordan Love. Mina, asked for it, you got it here. Finally becoming a starter in year 4 after 3 seasons on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers. Incredible second half. Love made the most of his chance catching fire in the final couple months from week 11 through the playoffs. No player threw more touchdowns or had a higher QBR than Jordan Love. Tim, will Love continue that upward trend and find himself in the top 10 next year?
I believe so. You know, you brought it up, Kevin. Mina brought it up about the second half of the season. Really, like, think about the numbers. From week 10 on, 18 touchdowns and 1 interception over that stretch. And over that stretch, only had 2 games where he completed less than 65% of his passes. Take it a step further. He was sacked 30 times on the season. Only 11 of those sacks happened from that stretch, week 10 on. What that tells you is that's a quarterback that sees, understands what's going on, is getting rid of the football. You combine that with completion percentage, it tells you he's going to the right guy, and obviously the touchdown-interception ratio bears that all out. It was big time the second half of the season for Jordan Love. I do think that continues.
By the way, he's set to get paid real soon. He's in the last year of his current contract, making just $11 million this season. That is a bargain.
Again, I mean, why is it some guys get respect right out of the gate? Jordan Love was arguably the number 1 quarterback in football in the second half of the season. We know what the Packers do with quarterbacks. I'm just saying. It seems to be a foregone conclusion for some people, but not Jordan. I know we've covered this a bunch of times, but I'm just saying. Dude is... it's underrated how good he was. And maybe some people like ESPN NFL Live here and Mina Kimes and whatnot know that, but I don't know that people fully understand how good he was the second half of the season. Well, they mentioned Jordan Love getting paid, and that is the topic of discussion. There's a big video circulating right now. I thought it was kind of annoying, to be honest, but it is what it is. I don't know the full context. Maybe it was known to be the last question or whatever, but I forgot actually who posted it. I have a video from Lily Zhao, but I don't know. I can't remember who it was. Somebody else posted it, and basically what they said is they were told before this interview, anybody asks a question about his contract, we're ending the interview. And one of the reporters asked the question. Dude, what a douche. Why did you do that? We told you not to do it. Now everybody's done. Any questions that anybody around you had, they no longer get to ask because you thought you were going to go ahead and break the rules and end the interview. I don't understand it. But anyways, I want to play this and kind of get to listen carefully to the words being said because there's a lot of speculation.
Same position as him. Brian Gutekunst says he hopes to have a contract extension done with you before the start of camp. Do you wish the same?
Sorry, nope.
All right.
News to come.
Sorry.
All right, so first of all, some people are speculating because he's got a big smile on his face, that means the contract's already done. First of all, he's smiling because of the situation, right? He's laughing because everybody knows nobody was supposed to ask that question. He's got a guy saying, nope, it's over. So it's kind of an uncomfortable chuckle, like, yeah, sorry, guys, That doesn't mean anything to me. The other really big thing is at the very end, Jordan Love says, news to come. Now, first of all, that doesn't have to mean anything, but you don't say news to come if there isn't news to come, unless, and this is something that is not talked about enough, he's repeating what somebody else said, right? Now, maybe it's just, it doesn't mean it's not true, but one of the reporters, I believe, made a joke, news to come, and Jordan just kind of laughs and goes, yeah, news to come, ha, ha, ha. Listen, I know we're starving for something, and I hope it's true. I hope that this contract is ready to rock and roll, and that's why Jordan's showing up, not because he's just going to show up anyways, but because this contract is done, and they're just waiting to announce it maybe on Monday or something, whatever the case may be. I'm sorry, man. There's just not enough here for me to sink my teeth into and say, I think this is legit. I think they actually got a contract done. I think it was just somebody asked a question they weren't supposed to. It was uncomfortable. Jordan kind of smiled. Somebody said news to come, and he's like, yeah, news to come. Yeah, anyways, all right, I got to go, guys. The article that's here, this is from Yardbarker, but I think they just pull from other places. The original post, there you go, A to Z Sports, Wendell Ferreira. Anyways, the original post here says, on Tuesday, Love led a youth football camp in Milwaukee. Reporters are told not to ask Love about training camp or negotiations, but they did. The PR team quickly ended the press conference, but Love smiled and said, news to come. I mean, I appreciate you, Wendell. That's not exactly how I would describe it if I was trying to be as accurate as I possibly could. The situation is not, the PR team tried to whisk him away, and he turns to the media, who's just sitting there going, oh, and he smirks and says, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about it. News to come. That's not what happened. He was smiling the whole time, and then he repeated what somebody else said. And ultimately, I don't know if we're going to know when the contract was done or not, because the bottom line is he's in Wisconsin right now. I'm sure if the deal's not done, they're working feverishly to get that contract done and finalized and signed so that we can move on. So we may get the deal done on Monday and have no idea whether it just got done that Monday, if it was done on Sunday, or if it was done, 2 weeks ago and it just didn't get announced until today. But as of right now, on what day we got here? On Wednesday afternoon, it is not a done deal. Oh, it's Mike Clemens, by the way, that posted that on social media. Said, before we arrived, we were instructed if anyone asked Jordan Love about training camp or his contract talks with the Green Bay Packers, the interview would be over. By the way, I definitely want this contract to get done for all the reasons already mentioned, but on top of that, we got a pretty sweet Jordan Love hype video ready to rock and roll for when he signs his contract. He hasn't done it yet, so you can check out that video on Patreon at patreon.com/pack_daddy for as little as $1 a month. Go peep it, son. We got another Christian Watson video in the works as we speak, and got to figure out what we want to do next. Been diddling with the musics, but kind of just having fun on my own, going off of my own little tangents. I got to get focused, and I was thinking Josh Jacobs. I don't know. Patreon.com/pack_daddy. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Jamie from Janesville.
Hey.
Just listening to your podcast, talking about the Detroit Lions smack talk and shit. And I think what he was referring to with the bad boys would be the bad boy Pistons who won a few championships. But I definitely don't think that's what these Detroit Lions are going to be. But hey, have a good one.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I had played a video kind of mocking the insanity of Lions fans massively overhyping themselves. And one of the things was one of the guys, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he had said something to the effect of, like, the bad boys are about to be back or something. It's like, dude, you don't even know how to be a fan of a good team. That was so stupid of you. But it doesn't, I honestly, whatever the context is, I could not care less because that is so stupid. The bad boy. We're bad boys. We're going to be bad. Caleb Williams over there doing his raw. And the Lions are like, no, we go raw.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rito.
Ship.
It's too early in the morning for Rito to roll his R's. Hey, buddy, I found that list I was telling you a minute ago about, maybe it's a couple of days ago. I don't know. Everything in my life is a minute ago or a year ago. I'm confused. Anyway, the place right by me who makes all these brats, and I was telling you they had Skittles. Well, I found the list here. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
Going down the list. Regular ancho pepper tequila. Andouille, I don't know.
Andouille?
I'm not French. Andouille.
Yeah.
Applesauce, apricot Dijon, Asian sriracha.
I'll try that.
Bacon and cheddar cheese.
Yes.
Beer.
Yes.
Bloody Mary.
No.
Blue cheese.
No.
Blue cheese and apple.
Nope.
Blueberry.
No.
Bowden. Breakfast.
What? Boudin? Bowden? I don't know.
Buffalo blue cheese.
Nope.
Cheddar.
Yep.
Cherry.
No.
Chicago style.
Sure.
Chili cheese.
Yes.
Chipotle ranch.
Sure.
Cranberry.
No.
Cranberry and jalapeno.
No.
Deluxe breakfast.
Sure.
Fiesta fajita.
Sure.
Foothill moonshine. French onion and Swiss cheese.
No.
Full throttle. Garlic.
Yes.
Grape jelly.
No.
Greek gyro. Greek
yes.
gyro.
Yes.
Green County.
What?
Green olives and Swiss cheese.
No.
Green pepper and onion.
No.
Habanero.
Sure.
Habanero and mango.
Yeah, sure.
Honey barbecue.
Yes.
Horseradish.
No.
Hot and spicy.
Sure.
Hot buffalo wing.
Yes.
Inferno. Italian pizza.
Yes.
Jalapeno cheddar.
Yes.
Jalapeno. Katie's off the wall.
I don't know.
Loaded baked potato. Mango.
Yes.
Marquez. Munich.
Nope.
Mushroom and Swiss.
Nope.
Mushroom and Swiss onion.
Nope.
Nacho Supreme. Parmesan garlic.
Yes.
Pepper jack. Philly
Yes.
cheese. Pineapple. Potato.
No.
Pumpkin pie.
Maybe no.
Raspberry chipotle.
Nope.
Root beer.
Nope.
Reuben.
Nope.
S'mores.
No.
Salsa.
Nah.
Sauerkraut.
No.
Sicilian.
Sure.
Skittles.
No.
Slurp and burp.
No.
Southwest chipotle.
Yes.
Spinach and feta cheese.
No.
Sweet honey mustard.
Sure.
Sweet Jamaican jerk.
Sure.
Sweet maple bacon.
Sure.
Sweet relish.
No.
Swiss cheese.
Nah.
Swiss cheese and peanut butter.
No.
Swiss style. Taco.
No.
Tequila lime.
Taco, maybe.
Tomato basil. Basil and Parmesan.
Yes.
Tony's Creole.
I don't know.
Tuscan style vodka.
Sure.
Uda. Which
Hey. I mean, most of those are like, I would try it. And some of those I said no to is like, I would take a bite, even though I'm sure I would hate it. But I mean, these are all just, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know why that's a thing. Who are we appealing to here? I don't know. It's I can't make them. I mean, part of me is like, that's really cool. And I would like to try almost half of those. Like one time and then probably be done, with the exception of 2 or 3 that are going to be like my go-to. These are dope. But you start doing Skittles, dude, blueberry. What are we doing? I don't know. I can't get behind the business model here.
dude, I got cut off. It's a lot of brats. Somewhere near Tuscan style vodka.
Yeah, we got that. Gouda. That was the last
blue
one.
cheese bacon.
No.
Gouda is blue cheese bacon.
Okay.
Ultimate tailgater. Whiskey peppercorn. Wild rice and blueberry. And then there's 4 chicken brats. Chicken Alfredo, chicken Normandy, chicken and cheddar cheese, and deluxe chicken. That's a lot of brats.
Normally you say chicken brat. I'm like, bro, just shut up. Shut up. Is that we're not even talking? And then you say chicken parmesan. Like, wait a minute. I'm dying here, but I'm just picturing like chicken parmesan wrapped in a casing. Like, I mean, you start getting crazy. Let's go ahead and do it.
Not even, that'd be kind of cool if you get by it, maybe you can, a pack with one of each. And I don't know how they would label them, like, anyway.
It would be awful. Like, you can get a pack with all of them, and you get them deeply discounted because you get a lot of brats all at once. But the kicker is you don't know which one's which. and you have a party, that would be hilarious. You have a party. You listed off what? 50, let's just say 50 brats. So plenty of people for a small, or plenty of brats for a small party. Everybody gets, let's say there's 25 people, everybody gets 2 brats or whatever. That is an interesting, I kind of like it. Like, I would do that because some people are going to be in heaven and other people are going to be miserable. Oh, you weren't done with your call yet. Just skipped ahead.
Do Normandy, chicken and cheddar cheese, and deluxe chicken.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of brats. I'm not even, that'd be kind of cool if you could buy it, maybe you can, a pack with one of each. And I don't know how they would label them, anyway, that's a lot of brats. I don't know how you choose from all those brats, and I don't know, if you ate 1 brat a day, I didn't count them, that's a lot of brats. And then how would you keep track of them? Which ones do you like? I'm not sure if I like the Slurp and Burp better or the raspberry chipotle. I'm not sure. Anyways, the place would be kind of stupid of me not to mention what it's called. It's called Rocco's Family Sausage, and there's a website. I don't know. It's like just down the road from me, so I can whip in there on the farm. It's on a farm. But I don't know how they, if they ship them out or something. You have to check it out. Over 100 brat flavors it does. I'm not awake yet. Okay. Go Brats and Packers. Packers and Brats. Rico out.
Yeah, I'm down, man. I think we should do that sometime. That'll be a thing. It'll be a Packernet party. And we'll have 50 invitees, and everybody gets a brat. And we'll just see what happens.
Hey, Ryan, Jenna from California. I was listening to the Lions fans getting all crazy, talking about how, they could start 8-0, and I'm just like, what? Who are they playing? Let me see. They got a tough schedule. They got to start with the Rams. Like, I'm not gonna say like the Rams are a top 5 team or anything, but coming out into week 1 against a Sean McVay offense, that's a nightmare because he's gonna have new wrinkles that nobody's ever seen, right? And he is a true innovator when it comes to scheme, all right? Like the whole motioning and doing, the stuff off the motion that everybody was doing last year, like the Dolphins and all that. He was doing that week 1. I know Mike McDaniel was also doing that stuff week 1 too, but you don't get Puka Nacua going crazy in the beginning of the season and not be an innovator. Tutu Atwell, nobody's ever heard of Tutu Atwell, and Tutu Atwell was going off at the beginning of the season, right? So that's not an easy one. I know they lost Dave Canales, the Bucs, and I think Dave Canales is a special coach, but the Bucs are no pushover. Like there's a bunch of good teams. Like I was looking at it, and even the team that's not good, like the Cardinals, they're a sneaky team because their head coach is defensive minded, and they got a wild card quarterback. He is an above average quarterback. He's probably 16th best quarterback, but the Cardinals could upset them. And Seattle, Mike McDaniel or Mike McDonald, he could have the defense be a surprise. Like I don't see like easy games at all. Seattle had a good roster before Carroll stepped down, right? So they still have a good roster. Dallas is good. Minnesota is divisional. That's always tough. And then Tennessee is probably their first game where I think it's probably an easy win because they have a second-year quarterback and they're still rebuilding with a new head coach. But there's not easy teams here. I don't know what these guys are looking at. There's no easy games. That's all I got. Lions are in their head. They're overthinking it. They're getting too high. While the Packers are keeping their head down, they're working. They're passing the vibes. People think the Lions are taking this forever and ever now, but they don't know. They don't know how hard we work. They don't know. Go Pack, go.
Well, I mean, the only thing that really comes to mind, I mean, of course, you're right. There's a lot of variance here. Again, I'm going to lean on and continue to make fun of the Packer or the Lions fans' inexperience with this whole process of rooting for a good team. They aren't even necessarily familiar with parity because they're used to just sitting at the bottom. And so maybe they think now that they're good, they just sit at the top like the Packers do. And you're right. That's not exactly how things work. Some teams are one and done. Some kind of go up, they go down. You know, they could be on the verge of a dynasty. They might be just basically over with. But yeah, look, I mean, I talk about the Lions and they're overconfident, and the Vikings are probably going to suck, but we'll see. And the Bears, I don't really know. You know, it depends, and I hope they're not good. And the bottom line is I genuinely have confidence in the Packers. Maybe not to the degree that Lions fans have confidence in the Lions, because I understand that there are a lot of variables, and if they start to break the wrong way, we could be in trouble. But I just think the odds are stacked severely in our favor. I'm a big fan of our quarterback, our wide receivers, our tight ends. Do I think we have anybody that is like a true number one elite alpha, you know, top dog type of guy? I don't know. Hopefully Jordan, maybe the running back, maybe a wide receiver emerges, maybe a tight end emerges. You know, I don't know, but I don't care. It's a good football team that I believe is good enough to win a Super Bowl, pending, you know, Jordan in the defense primarily and the health of the team and the coach doing what he does. But yeah, I do like everything. And you're right about keeping your head down. I mean, everything is going the right way. Everything that could go wrong hasn't. Everything that could go right seems to be. I mean, you know, you look at the way things were going last year, and like I said, I was getting kind of nervous about the locker room and, you know, are they going to be able to overcome whatever kind of problems they had, even if you fire the staff? You know, is there still a bad taste in everybody's mouth? Doesn't seem to be the case. So it seems like we got a really good fresh slate. I think we all generally like the defensive coordinator that we got. It maybe wasn't everybody's first choice. In fact, it was probably nobody's first choice because nobody even thought about Hafley, really. But I think we're all happy with it. We got more or less what we wanted. I think the rest of the coaching staff, with maybe the exception of keeping on, you know, the linebacker coach or whatever, but otherwise, or was it, who was it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. For the most part, the additional staff that's been brought in, phenomenal. I mean, way, way above what I ever could have imagined or expected. You know, the contract situation with Jordan seems to be going well. I think, you know, the early camp sounded great. Jordan was really playing very well. The injuries all seem to be coming together okay. I know it's very early, but everybody, you know, there's no terrible signs of like, oh, this might not be good. Everything's kind of coming back to fruition. You know, we don't have a Rodgers scare or fear. We're not sitting here saying, well, we basically hit the pinnacle last year and we couldn't do it. Now what do? We almost made it to the Super Bowl with not really knowing what we're doing. We don't have questions at our quarterback situation like Rodgers. We don't have the Bakhtiari thing where we're not sure if he's going to play or how detrimental that's going to be. Like, that's off the table. There's no looming devastating contract things now or even in the immediate future. I mean, Kenny Clark is probably the closest to that, but even that is just kind of, I think we're all shrugging our shoulders. I mean, everything is going the right direction. And there is an element of that can't happen forever, so capitalize while you can, make hay while the sun is shining. But I'm just happy. I'm content. I'm content in the best way possible because everything just seems to be going exactly like you'd want it to go. So, starting this Monday, hopefully that trend of good luck will continue. Hopefully we get some positive reports from these rookies, particularly our first-round pick. And on and on we chug, man. Because, again, are the Lions going to be good? Yeah, probably. Are the Bears going to be good? I don't know, maybe. But what matters is, are we going to be good? Because, yeah, it sucks if the Bears are going to be able to compete for the next 10 years. It sucks if the Lions are going to be able to compete for the next 5 or so years. Those things definitely suck compared to the alternative of them just not being good at football and we get to just steamroll everybody. But as long as we're good, everything that you want to happen is just sitting right there for you. You want Jordan to be that guy. You want the MVPs to continue. You want these great seasons to continue. You want, another Super Bowl. You want all those things. They're right there, and they're probably going to happen. So what happens with everybody else? Whatever. It is what it is. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much for your calls. We got a bunch more coming up. I mean, not a massive amount, but it should be able to hold us over through the end of the dead period. We got 19 more calls and a good mix, too. It's not just 2 or 3 people with 70 calls each. Randy, Nico, Aaron, Rico, Dakota, 1265, TJ, Steve, Kyle, Rico, Omar, Taylor, Trevor, TJ, and 1265 again. That's what we got coming up in the near future. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Silence of a shattered street, twisted metal whispers incomplete. Sweet tooth's laughter fades to a sigh. This outlaw siren echoes in the sky. Echoes of chaos fading away. Twisted dreams of a brighter day. In this metal graveyard, we're all the same. Seeking Calypso's prize, playing his game. Axle spins in slow motion now. Grasshoppers leap a graceful bow. Mr. Grimm reaps what we all have sown. In this battlefield we call our home. Echoes of chaos fading away. Twisted dreams of a brighter day. In this metal graveyard, we're all the same. Seeking Calypso's prize, playing his game. From LA to Paris, Moscow to Hong Kong, we've left our mark, but was it right or wrong? In the calm after the storm, we reflect on the paths we've chosen, the lives we've wrecked. Echoes of chaos fading away. Twisted dreams of a brighter day. In this metal graveyard, we're all the same. Seeking Calypso's prize, playing his game. As the dust settles on our metal dreams, nothing's quite as twisted as it seems. In the end, we're all just searching souls, trying to fill our battle-scarred holes.